good morning to you and welcome to the Power Breakfast News. I am Kirigo Ngarwam. Now, for the first time after the Friday attack on a Kenya Defence Forces camp at El Ade in Somalia, Kenyans were yesterday given details of how exactly the incident occurred. Chief of Defence Forces General Samson Mwathethe, accompanied by the other service commanders, addressed a news conference where they gave a blow-by-blow account of how the dawn attack in the Gedo region occurred. Mwathethe confirmed that Kenya had lost a number of soldiers, but said the exact number could not be given because they had not accounted for all the soldiers that were at the camp and that the process could take a while. General Mwathethe further stated that Malim Jano, a top Al-Shabaab commander who led the attack on the KDF camp, is believed to have been killed in the ongoing offensive targeting Al-Shabaab camps. Mwathethe denied claims that there was prior intelligence about the attack, but announced that he had constituted a board of inquiry to establish exactly what happened at El Ade. We have incisive coverage of the latest from Somalia, and Sylvia Chubet kicks off that coverage.
After nearly a week of lack of concrete information about that attack in El Ade, the chief of the Kenya Defence Forces, General Samson Mwathethe, was finally forthcoming with some details about the incident, specifically how it unfolded.
At around 5:0500 hours, the first vehicle-borne improvised explosive device, the VBID, drove through the adjacent Somali National Army camp.
The Somali troops, who share a perimeter fence with the Kenyan forces, according to KDF, fled, giving the enemy easy access to the Kenyan camp.
The first vehicle that went in, the vehicle-borne explosive device, like said, went to the center of the camp. Unfortunately, that is the area that has the comms center plus the OCs and the officers.
With that explosion, the El Ade camp was completely cut off from the outside world, and for 1.5 hours it was impossible to tell the camp had come under siege.
We received the first report of the attack at 06:30 hours.
It was a diverted military aircraft that was en route to Kismayo that called in to confirm the camp was on fire.
The aircraft also confirmed that the enemy had deployed 2 anti-aircraft guns.
Ambushed and unable to receive immediate reinforcement by air, the surviving soldiers, saved by the trenches, fought back an army of Al-Shabaab militants whose number KDF estimates to be in the thousands, an army that closed in on the El Ade camp by foot and by armored military trucks.
I would like you to appreciate the intensity and magnitude of this attack. Each of the VBIDs used in the incident has a force equivalent to the terrorist attack on the embassy in Nairobi in 1998. You can imagine 3 of those in that small defensive position.
Both sides suffered heavy casualties, with the militia force said to have collected all the dead fighters it could identify and ferried them away, reportedly in KDF lorries. Due to the bombings, KDF indicates it is yet to clearly tell how many soldiers died and how many escaped. It will take DNA testing to identify most of the fallen soldiers who were caught up in the explosion. This is the reason why KDF is urgent for patience, especially among the affected families, as the search and rescue operation continues. The hard-pressing questions may have been answered, but many more still abound, whose answers will hopefully be provided for by the KDF inquiry that has been established back in El Ade, Somalia. Sylvia Chebet, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
The Chief of Defence Forces, Samson Mwathethe, says the suspected mastermind of the El Ade attack was killed alongside other militants in the ongoing offensive targeting Al-Shabaab camps. It has also emerged that the Kenya Defence Forces only took control of the El Ade camp on Wednesday after days of complex military maneuvers. Hussein Mohammed reports.
Immediately the Kenya Defence Forces were alerted of the attack, 2 helicopters were dispatched from the Sector 2 Command in Doble, Somalia, to assess the situation in El Ade. Another aircraft that was on its way to Kismayo was diverted to El Ade and it's the first one that reported the camp was on fire but could not approach further as the assailants had deployed 2 anti-aircraft guns near the camp.
The safest option was to send in ground troops. We mobilized troops from Mandera, Elwak and Wajir, who immediately embarked on a 10-hour movement to reach the concentration area in Damasa.
In the meantime, the air surveillance team spotted Al-Shabaab looting and loading the loot onto trucks.
Again, we had to delay our attack on the trucks until they moved out and away from our troops and out of the camp, which they did at 1200 hours.
10 minutes later, and safely away from the KDF troops, attack against the enemy began. The air bombardments were extended to another 2 trucks being driven by the Al-Shabaab spotted at 3 p.m.
The convoy with more vehicles was engaged by our jets at 1500 hours, while the second convoy moved into the center of Walgadut town and could not be engaged and is still being searched.
That evening, the first group of survivors that were moving close to the Kenyan border were rescued by the helicopters. On the second day, the ground troops at Damasa commenced tactical movement towards the El Ade camp, but there was resistance on the way from Al-Shabaab fighters who had also placed explosives along the route.
In the meantime, search, rescue and recovery continued, with our helicopters rescuing more survivors. Further, aerial survey confirmed 2 enemy camps which were destroyed in 2 waves.
Ground troops advancement continued on the 3rd and 4th days of action, that is Sunday and Monday this week, with the search and rescue operation also continuing, and the first group of fallen heroes were airlifted on Monday evening. Al-Shabaab camps were in the meantime being bombarded.
We also attacked 2 Al-Shabaab camps, one in the morning and another in the afternoon, where it was believed that Maalim Jano, the leader of the Abu Zubair brigade who led this attack, was killed.
It was on Tuesday that the Kenya Defence Forces took full control of the El Ade camp. Ground troops took full control and aircraft brought in reinforcements. Hussein Mohammed for Power Breakfast News.
A family in Wega, Nyeri County, celebrating their son's return from Somalia, where he survived the El Ade attack. Eric Mugambi was one of the KDF soldiers airlifted to Nairobi on Monday, who are now recuperating at the Armed Forces Memorial Hospital. And as Wilkis Tanyabwa reports, President Uhuru Kenyatta is scheduled to visit the injured soldiers today.
On Sunday, TV stations beamed the images of the plane bringing injured KDF officers from Somalia. 4 injured officers were on board, but in Nyeri, William Kagume and his wife had their eyes trained on just one, the officer making his way across the tarmac to the waiting ambulance. This their son, Eric Wambogo. All the fear and anxiety of the last few days melted away the moment they spotted him.
Nilifurahi sana wakati nilimuona kwa TV, anakuja na miguu yake, anatembea, isipokuwa hiyo mkono tu.
After receiving the news that Al-Shabaab militants had attacked the Kenya Defence Forces El Ade camp in Somalia, where Wambogo was based, the Kagumes desperately sought news of their son, to no avail. Unlike other parents, they worried as they waited, prayed fervently and hoped, and their prayers were answered. Though Wambogo sustained gunshot wounds, he is progressing well in hospital. But in the midst of their happiness, like other military families, they know the story isn't over yet, bracing themselves for the idea that their son could still return to the front line.
Uwezi kumwambia waje kazi na hiyo watu ndio wanatolea ndio wanafanya tufanye ile kazi tunafanya sababu tunajua iko watu wanatulinda.
But they won't dwell on that. Instead, they are preparing a feast, a celebration of a lucky escape. President Kenyatta is on Friday morning scheduled to visit the injured troops at Armed Forces Memorial Hospital in Nairobi. The head of state will then join families of the injured soldiers for a special remembrance event. Wilkis and Power Breakfast News.
Kenyans from all walks of life yesterday evening gathered at Uhuru Park's Freedom Corner here in Nairobi to pay tribute to the fallen troops. Relatives of some of the soldiers also attended the KDF Heroes Vigil that organizers say will continue for the next 3 days.
Chuki na ukabila hatutaki hata kamwe, lazima tuungane tuijenge nchi yetu, pasiwe hata mmoja anayetenganisha. Naishi na tumaini, najitolea daima Kenya. Hakika ya bendera ni uthabiti wangu, nyeusi ya wananchi na nyekundu ni ya damu, kijani ni ya ardhi, nyeupe ya amani. Daima mimi Mkenya, mwananchi mzalendo. Amani, daima mimi Mkenya, mwananchi mzalendo.
Let's move on. And opposition chief Raila Odinga will not appear before the Public Accounts Committee on Monday next week to submit information he claims he has on the alleged loss of 140 billion shillings from the Eurobond proceeds. Odinga said the House Watchdog Committee's investigation was anchored on the 2013-2014 General's report, and he would only appear before the PAC once the 2014-2015 audit report was published later in the year. And as Francis Gashuri reports, Odinga has set a list of conditions for his appearance before the committee, but the Jubilee coalition leaders claimed that he had chickened out.
The Public Accounts Committee PAC had on Tuesday The opposition chief says the issues he addressed on the Eurobond transaction were not captured in the Auditor General's 2013-2014 report, and he would prefer to wait for the publication of the 2014-2015 audit report later in the year.
Therefore, I've suggested to them that in those circumstances, they defer and that I would be willing to come before the committee after the auditor's report has come out, has been published.
But the Jubilee Coalition lawmakers who are waiting for Odinga's appearance before the PSC with a litany of questions now claim he had developed cold feet.
I mean, I'm very pessimistic that he will appear before Public House Committee. Raila Odinga is one person who will not face you head on with hard questions. He refused to go to EACC. He has refused to go to DPP.
I've been a member of parliament for 20 years. How could I be afraid of meeting newcomers like Mr. Duale, who are basically my students?
While the Jubilee parliamentarians were salivating for a political showdown with Odinga on the Eurobond saga, the CORD leader has issued a list of conditions should he appear before the Public Accounts Committee.
Raila Odinga must prove beyond reasonable doubt that public resources has been misused.
But we will not be intimidated, the dwellers of this world. I have information. If they want that information, I'll be able to give it. If they don't want that information, then we will deal with it the only best way we know how to deal with it. Because it will then show that Parliament is not interested in getting to the bottom of this matter. That Parliament is trying to play a cover-up exercise, but we are not going to help them to do so.
Central Bank of Kenya Governor Dr. Patrick Njoroge has defended the Eurobond transaction after Odinga listed CBK Chairman Jairus Mohamed Nyaoga in the list of persons of interest in the saga. From Steve Yashuri, Public First News.
Now, the Central Bank of Kenya has put the country's large commercial banks on the spot for keeping their lending rates at double-digit highs. Despite Treasury bill rates having fallen in November to single-digit levels, large commercial banks raised their interest rates on loans to an average of 17.4% in December from an average of 17.2% according to the CBK. Bella Genga reports.
6 local commercial banks out of the licensed 42 banks in the country are on a money-minting spree, at least according to the Central Bank of Kenya. Despite calls to lower their lending rates, the 6 large banks have been blamed for pushing up the cost of borrowing to an average rate of 17.4% by December.
This increase is more pronounced with the large banks. That's troubling.
A spot check by Citizen TV has shown an unsecured personal loan from Equity Bank attracts an interest rate of 24%, while a secured loan is charged an interest rate of 21%. Cooperative Bank's unsecured loans are also at 24%, while secured loans are 20%. At KCB, Kenya's largest bank by assets, interest rate on unsecured loans range between 21 and 24%, while secured loans attract 20%. Standard Chartered Bank charges an interest rate of 22.5% on unsecured loans and 21.5% on secured loans. And at Barclays Kenya, unsecured loans are at 20.5%, while secured loans are at 18.5%.
I think the issue here is one of market dominance. Particular banks will want to sort of throw their weight around. In a sense, they feel comfortable.
The banking sector watchdog now wants the banks to shift their focus to long-term lending.
It is really an issue of having a long-term view in the economy, making sure that they're lending not just to benefit in the next 3 months, whatever that is.
The governor's call comes a day after the bank's monetary policy committee opted to spare borrowers the pain of higher lending rates by retaining the CBK's benchmark lending rate at 11.5% and the Kenya Bank's reference rate at 9.87%.
The fate of Imperial Bank, which is currently under receivership, lies in the hands of its shareholders, and this is according to the CBK governor. Dr. Patrick Njoroge has said Imperial Bank requires at least 10 billion shillings from its large shareholders in order to reopen its doors for business. Last week, Imperial Bank's major shareholders claimed that the CBK has kept them in the dark over their proposal to reopen the bank. The shareholders insisted that they would only inject additional capital to revive the bank after being let in the outcome of the ongoing forensic investigation. The CBK, however, insists that the depositors will not bear the financial burden of reopening Imperial Bank. So far, the central bank has received 17,000 claims from Imperial Bank's depositors, with accounts holding 1 million shillings each. According to the CBK governor, slightly over 15,000 depositors have been paid 5.9 billion shillings.
That account. Then we talk. This is much bigger than Goldenberg. And Goldenberg, I mean, it makes Anglo-listing look like a child's play. We wanted enough resources to reopen the bank back in November.
The government has kicked off an exercise to destroy 400 million shillings worth of illegally imported sugar, rice and ethanol in Mombasa. President Uhuru Kenyatta joined officials from the Kenya Revenue Authority and the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission in setting ablaze the first set of the contraband goods. But as Patrick Igunza reports, not all went smoothly with that exercise.
Last week, the government intercepted and seized contraband sugar, rice and ethanol valued at close to 400 million shillings. Thursday saw senior government officials led by President Uhuru Kenyatta offload the first batch of the goods at the Mwakirunge dump site for destruction. But from the outset, not all was going according to plan. A lighter, torn sacks and a handful of dry sticks were the tools that were used to set the contraband goods ablaze. The exercise is said to have been done repeatedly with little success.
We are going to use a combination of strategies, particularly based on some of the lessons that we are learning. And for example, for sugar and rice, we are going also to consider the options to dump the consignment in water, minus the bags.
A situation that is said to have forced President Kenyatta to leave the site in a huff after firmly instructing the government officials present to ensure that the goods are destroyed completely. Residents of Mwakirunge also expressed their dissatisfaction with the apparently haphazard manner in which the smuggled goods were disposed of.
Sahi tukiondoka hapa nini itafanyika? Huende ikazua maradhi zaidi ama hiende ikazua usalama ukazidi kuharibika.
Details as to who the owners of the illegal shipments are remain scanty.
Family Bank has begun the process of choosing a new chief executive officer. This follows an announcement that the bank's current managing director and CEO, Peter Munyiri, will leave the bank at the expiry of his 5-year contract in June this year. Dennis Otieno reports.
After 5 years at the helm, Peter Maina Munyiri is preparing to exit the helm of Family Bank. Munyiri has announced his intention to leave the bank at the end of his 5-year contract, which expires in June. The bank's board of directors has however confirmed that Munyiri will continue serving in his current capacity until a suitable replacement is found. Prior to his appointment at Family Bank, Munyiri served as Deputy Chief Executive at Kenya Commercial Bank, KCB. He is credited for steering the mid-sized bank on a transformation path that has so far seen the bank's asset base almost quadruple to 82 billion shillings by September 2015. Munyiri's planned exit, however, comes nearly 4 months after Family Bank was adversely mentioned in the 791 million shillings scandal that hit the National Youth Service. 9 of the bank's managers were implicated and later fired for their alleged involvement in handling monies said to have been siphoned from the NYS.
So we've come to the end of the Power Breakfast News for this morning. Many thanks for joining us. And remember, you can keep talking to us. 22422 is the SMS line, and the hashtag on Twitter is Power Breakfast. This morning on our first interview, our conversation is going to be on building homes for the elderly, home care for the elderly. A group of people want to start doing this in Kenya. The question is, are we ready for that? Well, Mutegi Njao is joined by Sister Sabina Magembe, Provincial Development Coordinator of the Little Sisters of St. Joseph, and Sister Jane Julius, a Provincial Council member. Any questions you have, like I said, 22422 is the SMS line. Mutagi?
Good morning, sisters.
Good morning.
Now you have this unique project you are you're doing. But before you talk about the project, tell us what the sisters, little sisters of St. Joseph, what is it? What are you?
The name is Little Sisters of St. Joseph, and we were founded in the Netherlands in the year 1872, and the founder of the congregation started the congregation because he found that in his parish where he was working as a priest, there were very many needy people. There were people who were handicapped, there were orphans, there were single mothers, there were elderly people, and these people really needed help. So he started the congregation to take care, to look into the needs of these people, just because he was alone as a parish priest, and he could not continue doing the work of a parish priest as well as take care of the needs of the people. So he did that for many years in the Netherlands with the sisters who started the work there. But in 1963, Bishop Draper, who was then a bishop of Kisumu, invited our sisters from the Netherlands to come and work with him here in Kenya. He too, as he was working among the people in Kisumu, and during that time the diocese of Kisumu was from Kisumu up to Nakuru. So he was also working within the Ngong, what we know today as Ngong diocese. So he invited the sisters to come and open a hospital in Kirigoris, which is in Transmara. So the sisters started the work of the congregation in Transmara, what we know Transmara today, but the particular place is Kirigoris, and there they opened a hospital. Gradually they also opened a school to take care for the needs of the people within the area of Kirigoris, and gradually the sisters also invited African young women who wanted to join them and work with them, and we are the product.
Yeah, one of some of the little sisters.
Yeah.
Where are you based? Where is your organization based?
At the moment we are in different dioceses, but we have our head house in Karen. That is where we have our provincialate. But we are in other dioceses like Nyahururu, like Wema. We are also in Tanzania, in Arusha, and in Ngong, of course, mainly where we started, and in the Archdiocese of Nairobi.
Now tell us about this project you have in Kisiria, the one that makes you come here.
Yes, as I have said, we were started in 1963, and in 2013 we were celebrating our Golden Jubilee in Kenya. So as we were looking back, evaluating our work in Kenya, we started looking like what was the original idea of the founder, and we found out that apart from opening hospitals and schools, the founder also had the idea of taking care of the elderly. And this came up not only because it is in our charism, but also where our sisters are working.
What is charism?
The charism is the spirit that that moves somebody to do something for others.
Yes.
Yeah. And so the sisters where Sister Jane mentioned, we work in different places. So in these different places where the sisters work, they also encounter elderly people who are sick, who live alone in their own homes, and they really need help. So as we were evaluating our work, we said we need to do something for the elderly. And this something, what is it? We felt it is good to have a home where we can bring these elderly people or elderly persons that we find in our workplace together and help them to age gracefully. Now, at times when you find an elder person in the home, maybe the sons or daughters have moved into the cities and they are all by themselves. Some of them live in a very bitter life, like I've taken care of my children all the time and now they are nowhere to be seen. But it's not the wish of the children that they are away. It's just because the work moves them to the cities, or they have to go somewhere else to look for their green pastures. Right?
Oh, maybe they have gone abroad.
Yeah. The other thing is that they have also moved abroad. They are living in abroad and they need help for their parents. So this is what is motivated us or gave us the motivation to really start looking for a way of helping these elderly persons within our society.
What is the nature of that project? What are you building? A home for elderly? Maybe the size of it, the cost?
Okay, we are building a home for a capacity of 100 elderly, both the religious and other members from the diocese, that is from the public, that is the non-religious. So we want to build a home, and it will consist of actually the residents, and we
expect to accommodate 100 old people.
Yes, 100.
Both men and women.
Both men and women.
Whether Christians or non-Christians.
All, everybody. So long as it's an elderly who is in need of being supported.
Will they be paid?
Okay, actually it is non-profit making, but at the same time, since we have to run the house, we have to run the home, they'll have to make some payments just for the running, the day-to-day running of the home.
Exactly where is this place you're building?
We are going to build this place at Kiserian, near Ngong Hills, and our hope is that, as Sister said, that the home can sustain itself. And in our planning, in the concept, we have planned it in a way that there are other components that will help the home to run itself. And that is, we have the early childhood development, and we also have...
Which means you have a school for children.
For children.
ECD.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this is mainly for the population of Kiserian itself, the children from Kiserian themselves, and our hope is that there will be interaction between the elderly and the children to keep them alive, so that we don't take the elderly from that home setting, that there is life. We want to help them to age gracefully, and this is part of it. Then we have a dairy where we'll keep cows, and if there are any elderly persons within the home who are strong enough to continue the work that they were doing at home, as taking care of cows and animals, then they are also allowed to take part in that, so that life at home continues. It's not just coming to sit down and wait to die. That's not it. And then we have a place where we want to have some recycling, glass recycling, and that is also, you might find somebody who was very good out there, but now is not strong enough to do a lot of work, but they go there every morning to see what is happening. They can take charge of something and such.
Where will you get a glass for recycling?
Oh, there are many places that you can collect glass from. You live alone in our own religious homes. Because you go out there, you buy something with the bottle, and instead of throwing away that bottle, we can recycle and do something good from it.
Which means you'll be collecting bottles from people who come to sell bottles?
Yes, but also from religious homes, religious houses. Yeah.
So you have a nursery school?
A dairy. Recycling, beekeeping.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, we will also, because Geserian, the house is almost near to the Ngong Hills, and there is a forest there. So we hope that as time goes, we can have the bees and then get the honey, and the honey will be used by the people who are in the home. We are not going to use that for sale, but it's going to be used for the people in the home, as well as we also have greenhouse. We don't want to buy vegetables out there when we have a shamba there, so we will do some farming to get vegetables for the home. And also one important thing is we have a medical clinic, what you can call a dispensary or health center, where people will also come when they are sick, for the community around, and then they will give out something that will be sustain the home.
You will be charging?
Yes.
You will be charging for nursery ECD, you will charge?
Yeah.
You will charge also for people who come to the clinic?
Yeah.
You will get money from beekeeping, you will get money from the dairy, or use the dairy to feed the
dairy and the greenhouse and the beekeeping will be more for the home. We are not going to sell it out, but it will be more for the home.
Judging from what you have said, it looks like how much land do you have to put that kind of a complex?
We have 5-acre land.
Is that enough?
Yes, it's enough. We have had somebody to do the survey, and they said it's enough. And the architect himself, he has done his own survey, and he said the land is enough for all that we want to put up.
Now let's go to the big question. Money.
Yeah.
How do you intend to get the money to build this, and how much will it cost?
Okay, the entire building is about 670 million, but then we want to build it in bits.
In phases.
In phases.
Yes.
Because we are not able to raise that amount as well. At the moment, we are looking for ways of how to fund for the same, and of course we are seeking donations from the public and well-wishers, because actually this is a project that is to help the public. It's not only for the little sisters, but we are looking out to help the members or to support the members of the public, so that especially the aged, these are people who have lived their lives, they have worked hard, and we want them to age gracefully and feel that they are really cared for well.
But Kenyans, people feel guilty. If my mother was aging, my father was aging, and I brought, or she came there, people might feel guilty that you have thrown away your old man, you have thrown away your mom. How do you convince Kenyans that that is acceptable?
Actually, everybody will be comfortable that the parents are in a place that they are well cared for. And these people, from time to time, they are allowed to come in, interact with their parents, maybe take some days, stay with them, and then go back. Rather than leaving them back at home, and then they have no proper care, so you'll be more guilty that they are suffering. But when they are in the home, you are very much sure that these people are well cared for, and they are taken care of well.
So, sister, how do you, just 670 million, I don't know your plan, how do you get it?
Well, our plan, in the first place, coming here to the studio and asking you to give us space for this interview is to help us to speak to the public and tell the public that it's very, very important to take care of our elderly persons within society. And our elderly people do count in society. And therefore, if the public really feels with us, especially in taking care of our elderly persons, and seeing that they also have a comfortable life as they age gracefully, then we would wish that they can become our supporters in donating to us whatever little they have.
There is a person, Paul Odhiambo from Kisumu, and he is saying this is a very good idea. I would wish to help. There's another one called it's a worthy cause. I'm supported fully. Keep it up, because the aged have been neglected for a long time. Kariuki from Thika, and they're asking, can you give them, where can they donate if they want to donate? Where, which number, which tail, whatever.
Okay. We have an Equity business number, and our account number is 1630 264 33 76 76.
Can you repeat?
1630 26 43 37 1630 264 33 76 76.
That is an Equity Bank.
It's Equity Bank account number, but for those who have Equitel, they can use the business number alongside that account number. The business number is 247 247.
247 247 if you have Equitel number.
Yes. And at the moment we can also donate through M-Pesa, and we have two numbers. One is 0720 259 064. I repeat, 0720 259 064. And the second one is 0721 555 218.
Okay, then sister, apart from that public appeal, do you have other means, with other ways we plan to raise the money before you finish?
Yes, we have also planned for a fundraising dinner, whereby we have invited His Eminency Cardinal John Njue to be our guest of honor, and we are happy to announce that he is available for us for that dinner on the 17th of March. So we still have to work out the logistics for this, and we will again appeal to the public to help us in this fundraising dinner. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sister. I hope members of public will support you, because this is a very worthy cause, and establish a home for the aged so that they can age gracefully. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for giving us this chance, and may God bless you all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Le propriétaire de tous les dossiers. Hey! 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 Avec la participation de Jocelyne. moi. Non, lui.